My interview with the man organizing a gun appreciation day and who's made some controversial comments about slavery and Dr. Martin Luther King. He's here tonight live. You definitely don't want to miss this. Plus, millions of Americans have been engaged in a serious conversation about gun safety. But we're hearing something else from the other side. A group of gun supporters is organizing a gun appreciation day for this Saturday. They want people to bring their copies of the Constitution to gun stores, firing ranges, and gun shows all across the country. Organizers say they modeled the campaign after the Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day last summer. Of course, on that day, people bought chicken. So what are they supposed to do on Gun Appreciation Day? Shoot guns? Buy ammo? The Sandy Hook tragedy affected every American in different ways. But we need to move forward together to keep a tragedy like this from happening again. Joining me now is Larry Ward, chairman of the Gun Appreciation Day campaign. Thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me, Reverend.
Now, so often in this debate, it seems like gun control advocates and opponents don't talk to one another. So I'm kind of looking forward to our conversation.
Me too.
I want to read something you said about why we need Gun Appreciation Day. You said, quote, "We decided that the politicians have forgotten how Americans feel about their guns, and it's time to remind them." How have politicians forgotten how people feel about their guns, Larry?
Well, you know, there's a lot of talk about gun control. You know, this Gun Appreciation Day, just so we're clear, is not in reaction to the shooting in Newtown. It's in reaction to the reactions in terms of the legislation that's being introduced into Congress, Senator Feinstein's bill, and President Obama and Joe Biden's comment that they guaranteed sweeping gun control legislation by the end of the month.
But you can appreciate guns without appreciating magazines that shoot 100 rounds and appreciating automatic weapons and semi-automatic weapons. You don't. You're talking about legislation that clearly talks about certain types of weapons, certain type of magazines, not all guns. Let's not distort what the legislation is saying.
Well, in Dianne Feinstein's bill, in the summary that I read, you know, she lists handguns as you know, handguns that are semi-automatic, which are the majority of handguns that are sold in this country, in her proposed legislation. So, you know, we are talking about, you know, the guns that people use on a regular and everyday basis to defend their homes and to defend their families.
Well, it hasn't been introduced yet. We don't know what the final bill will say, but let's just cut to the chase. Are you supporting on Saturday, on Gun Appreciation Day, automatic weapons and magazines that go with 30 to 100 rounds? Is that part of Appreciation Day?
Well, you know what? I believe that right now, any ban on a semi-automatic weapon would not have you know, changed the outcome of what happened in Newtown. It would not have changed the outcome of what happened in Aurora. We have so many laws in the books right now for gun control. We have I think close to 20,000 laws in the country. And those 20,000 laws, they failed in Aurora, they failed in Newtown, and they failed, quite frankly, in
we don't have
Sikh
laws
Temple.
though banning the semi-automatic weapons and the magazines. I'm asking you again. Will you be supporting that on Saturday on Gun Appreciation Day?
Absolutely. It's part of the Second Amendment.
So,
and
no, it's not part of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment gave you the right to bear arms. There were no magazines shooting 100 rounds, and there were no automatic weapons when the Second Amendment was written, Larry.
Well, the Second Amendment is clear. The Founding Fathers, you know, wrote a lot about this, and they wrote that the Second Amendment is for three purposes: to defend oneself and one's property, to defend the country in case of foreign invasion, and defend, you know, against a potential government that would turn on its people.
Yeah, but I mean, well, you could say that I should have the right to have a nuclear weapon if you want to just leave it open there. The Second Amendment didn't address the specifics of what we're dealing with today. But let me ask you something else.
Wait, let me address that real quick. Here's how I feel about that argument, because quite frankly, last few times I've been on MSNBC, I flubbed that question. I had to think about it quite a bit. I believe that the issue of, you know, rocket launchers, should we have nuclear bombs, should we have this? I believe that any weapon that the United States government engages its citizens with should be open for the citizens to be able to buy and protect themselves from.
Including rockets and nuclear bombs.
Well, they don't. You know, we don't engage. The United States doesn't engage its citizens with rockets and nuclear bombs. They engage them with weapons, assault rifles.
And if they decide not to engage them with assault weapons or magazines, it would be the same as not engaging them as nuclear bombs. So I think you fudged that one again. But let me ask you something else. We're going to run out of time.
Sure.
You've gotten a lot of attention for something you said Friday on CNN. Sure. When you were asked about holding Gun Appreciation Day the weekend before Dr. Martin Luther King Day, let's listen to what you said.
I believe that Gun Appreciation Day honors the legacy of Dr. King. I think Martin Luther King would agree with me, if he were alive today, that if African Americans had been given the right to keep and bear arms from day one of the country's founding, perhaps slavery might not have been a chapter in our history.
Now, first of all, Larry, you do realize Martin Luther King was killed by a gun, and that he preached all of his life against the use of any weapons and preached turn the other cheek. So you do realize what you said was a total antithesis to Dr. King. I don't know how much you know about Dr. King.
Of course, I do. I know quite a bit.
So then why would you say that you think he would support you?
Well, you know, not only do I stand by my statement that Martin Luther King Gun Appreciation Day honors the legacy of Martin Luther King, but also the entire civil rights movement. You know, we have, the great Ida B. Wells said a Winchester rifle should be in a place of honor in every black home.
No. Wait a minute. We're talking about Martin Luther King weekend. Monday's Martin Luther King Day. You stated he would be supportive. You just admitted that you know he was against violence. He preached turn the other cheek. He was killed by it. How can you distort Dr. King?
He also went for a gun permit and was turned down by
and he also said that he's glad he was and that he never would carry a gun again and refused to carry a pistol. Finish the story.
Sure. Well, here's what I believe. I believe that Dr. King, fought for equal opportunity. And we look at cities like Chicago and New York that have a majority of minorities in it right now. And those cities themselves do not grant the same access, the same equal opportunity that perhaps somebody in Texas would have to defend themselves.
But Dr. King was against violence. Do you understand how despicable it would be to members of his family that saw their father killed by gunfire for you to say that you are in some way continuing his legacy on King Weekend by doing Gun Appreciation Day when he preached against that and died from a bullet wound? Then to say that there wouldn't have been slavery if slaves had the right to gun. Slaves didn't have any rights. They didn't have the right to marry. They didn't have the right to name their children after them. Why would they have rights to guns? And in fact, when there were insurrections, and there were many, let me show you, there were insurrections, they were all put down violently. Are you aware of, there were the 1811 rebellion in 2 parishes near New Orleans, 1816 rebellion in Fort Blunt, Florida, 1831 rebellion led by Nat Turner in Virginia. There were slave rebellions, all of them put down, but the fact that Africans were brought here against their will and made slaves, it was not like they had an option of any right, including wages. So, I mean, either you don't know the history of slavery and understand the nuances, or you were just dealing in some hype, answer why you would even think to bring up Dr. King and slavery in the context of your position. You have the right to your position, but we don't have we have the right to different opinions, but we don't have the right to change facts.
Look, the fact is that gun ownership is a civil right. It's a civil right for every American to be able to defend themselves. And currently, I believe that the civil right is not being equally, equally treated amongst everyone in America. The people in Chicago, the people in New York, the people in Washington, D.C., they don't have the same rights as granted by the Constitution as other people in the country to defend.
So then why don't we give them all equal rights of having gun control? We all have the right now to ride the front of the bus. It doesn't mean that I can go on the bus and drive the bus. It doesn't. The right to bear arms doesn't mean you have the right to bear any arm and to bear magazines and to bear automatic weapons.
You made a point earlier. You made a point earlier. If the United States, in my opinion, this is just me, if the United States wanted to ban assault weapons, well, the government should go first and turn in all of their assault weapons and that they engage the American people.
Citizens should have the rights that the government has for military.
I didn't say for military. I said what they engage people in the United States.
So, but you're saying the government should go first. The government should disarm automatic weapons before they do it from the citizens.
Before they ask the citizens to disarm, yes.
They should do it first, the government.
Yes.
All right. You're going to preach that Saturday for Gun Appreciation Day. Just wanted to make sure I was clear because I might miss your speech Saturday. I'll be working on Dr. King's stuff. Larry Ward, thanks for your time tonight.
Hey, thanks
we'll
for
be
having me.
right back.